In a dramatic escalation of tensions between the United States and Venezuela, former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro made his first appearance in a U.S. federal courtroom in Manhattan on January 5, 2026, following his capture by U.S. forces in a highly controversial military operation. Maduro, long a polarizing figure in South American politics, was brought to the United States along with his wife, Cilia Flores, after a surprise U.S. operation in Caracas early on January 3 that ousted him from power. Both faces federal charges, including narco-terrorism, drug trafficking conspiracy, and related weapons offenses, part of an indictment originally filed in 2020 but expanded in recent days that the Manhattan federal courthouse. Maduro, appearing in shackles and with translation support, pleaded not guilty to all charges. He insisted he remained the legitimate president of Venezuela and described his capture as unlawful. Flores also pleaded not guilty, rejecting the charges leveled against her in the United States. The arraignment before Judge Alvin Hellerstein marked the opening of what is expected to be a long and complex legal battle. Maduro's defense team has indicated they will challenge the legality of his capture, potentially arguing sovereign immunity as a former head of state. The extraordinary U.S. military action, dubbed by some reporting as part of Operation Absolute Resolve, involved commandos and air assets striking strategic targets in Venezuela in the early hours of January 3. The operation culminated in Maduro and Flores being taken from Caracas to New York City to face trial. The U.S. government, led by then-President Donald Trump, framed the operation as a law enforcement effort to bring a foreign leader indicted for decades of alleged drug trafficking and narco-terrorism into custody. Trump and his administration have cited Maduro's alleged coordination with major drug cartels and the violent protection of narcotics networks as justification for the unprecedented action. The capture and extradition have ignited a firestorm of diplomatic criticism. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres raised serious concerns about regional instability and the legality of the U.S. operation under international law, urging peaceful political solutions. Several nations, including Russia, China, and Mexico, have denounced the U.S. action as a violation of Venezuela's sovereignty. Within the UN Security Council, debates intensified as allies and adversaries alike weighed in, with Germany, Colombia, Denmark, and others condemning the operation even as the U.S. framed it as a necessary effort to combat transnational crime and restore peace that end the power vacuum left by Maduro's removal. Vice President Delcy Rodriguez was named acting president by Venezuela's Supreme Court and military establishment. Initially critical of the U.S. intervention, Rodriguez has since signaled a willingness to work with international partners, including the United States, under certain conditions, though her legitimacy is widely questioned. Meanwhile, Venezuela's government declared a state of emergency and ordered police to detain anyone seen as aiding the U.S. assault, further heightening internal tensions. The ramifications extend far beyond Caracas. Latin American leaders have warned that the U.S. military operation sets a dangerous precedent for sovereignty and security in the region. Domestically in the U.S., Democratic lawmakers criticized the Trump administration for failing to fully brief Congress before the operation, arguing it represented executive overreach with unclear legal basis. Trump suggested that additional military actions could be contemplated if Venezuela, and potentially other neighboring countries, does not align with U.S. policy demands that A.S. Maduro's legal proceedings in New York continue. The world watches a complex interplay of international law, military strategy, and political power. The case challenges long-standing norms of diplomatic immunity and raises profound questions about the use of force in pursuing criminal justice across borders. Whatever the outcome in court, the geopolitical shockwaves from this unprecedented intervention will resonate across the Western Hemisphere for years to come.